Good afternoon. My name is Steve Nicewinder. I'm Vice President of the Board of Woodwing Wall of Honor. We're excited to have you here today and start out with a welcome from our Honorable Mayor, George Pankton.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I'm George Pankton, and I have the honor and privilege to serve as Enid's current mayor. Welcome to one of the most patriotic cities you will find in America. I offer a special welcome this afternoon to guests involved in today's ceremony, including our honoree today, Mr. R.D. Lawrence, Honorary French Consul, Mr. Grant Moak, Oklahoma Secretary of Veteran Affairs, retired General Ben Robinson, Oklahoma Senator from the 20th District, Senator Roland Peterson, the Commanding Officer from Vance Air Force Base, Colonel Tim Danielson, Field Representative for U.S. Senator James Enhoff, Mr. Ryan Sproul, and Field Representative for U.S. Senator James Langford, Mr. Tanner Roberts. I'm so proud that we are allowed to host this ceremony here today. This park has had rather humble beginnings that began long ago with a lone F-4 fighter at the gate to greet our airport visitors. A T-37 aircraft, one of the aircraft previously used to train pilots at Vance, was added later. Every year, our park has grown thanks to selfless efforts of those serving on the Woodwing Wall of Honor and Veterans Park Committee. Within the park, you will see the granite walls containing names of veterans who have called Enid, Oklahoma home over the years. You will see the 80% scale Vietnam Veterans Traveling Wall that was purchased with the generous contributions of our citizens and business owners and escorted to Enid by over 300 motorcycle riding veterans for permanent display in our park. And you are now located in the Becker Museum that documents the contributions of the veterans who have served in all of our nation's wars. Again, I'm so pleased that this park that we are also proud of is the venue for the special honor today. Welcome once again to all attendees, both here and those watching online. Please enjoy today's ceremony, as well as your visit to our wonderful park in the city of Enid, Oklahoma. Thank you.
For our keynote address, would you help me welcome General Ben Robinson, Secretary of Veteran Affairs for the state of Oklahoma.
I'm going to take my mask off. I'm going to come out here if that's okay, because that feels like I'm on a Zoom back there. Thank you very much for this opportunity. I'm honored and proud to be here. You're waving at me about something that go backwards. Oh, the mic maker. Is this one okay? Is this okay?
No, that's Galen's.
This is what?
That's Galen's.
Well, I won't take it with me. I mean, I'll leave it here. Okay, how's that? Three things I love is microphones, cameras, and cameras with microphones. So I'm right at home here. So great opportunity to be here. I'm honored. Enid community leadership, our state legislators, our congressional and national congressional representatives here, our military leadership here, men and women, family members, friends of RD's. Great to be here. I know Enid community real well because I grew up in a community just like this. Ever heard of Clovis, New Mexico? Raise your hand. Who's been there? Two kinds of people. People have been there and people want to go. So if you haven't been, look me up before this is over and I'll get you set up for a visit to Clovis. You know, like Enid, the tallest building in town was a grain elevator. We had an Air Force base. We were about 110 miles from Amarillo. We were the town that's 110 miles from nowhere. So One high school, everybody knew everybody. We still get together on a very regular basis, so I really feel at home at Enid. I come up here, I was a consultant with CareerTech for many, many years, and I've worked with Audrey a lot, and some of your other aerospace consulting businesses around here. When I saw the T6s sitting next door, the reputation of Enid when it comes to supporting the military, it is well known, not only here in Enid, but across the Air Force, certainly in the Capitol building, because we get a chance to talk to the governor all the time, because I'm also Secretary for Military Affairs, so I get to talk about that. The great things that Enid has done for Vance Air Force Base. You know, we're under pilot training surge. Enid's the only one that's made their numbers, or Vance, only one that's made their numbers. With all the COVID and everything, they've still exceeded their normal pilot production of a couple of years. And why? Because of this, because of what's going on out there, and because of Enid, Oklahoma. That's what makes it, that's what made it happen. And great leadership like we have as the wing commander out there. So yeah, I know Enid communities real well. It is what makes America exceptional, are communities like Enid. And I'm going to stick with America is an exceptional country. Get that on tape. So I know the kind of things that I've probably read every book there is about air power in World War II and B-17s and B-24s. I was a bomber pilot. I got a chance to fly the B-52. I flew the B-1, the B-2. The B-52 was a real bomber. You know what they say is you have a B-1, a B-2, and a B-52. You know what you have? 2 bingo numbers and a bomber. So I got to fly the real bomber. What made it real was we had a gunner. We didn't have a ball turret, but we did have a gunner. He sat in the back by himself back there, and then finally we moved him up front because we didn't know what he was doing back there, so we got him up here. We keep an eye on him. On B-17, probably the most important gunner was that ball turret gunner, right? 360 degrees behind, up, down, below. It was the single most important gunner on the airplane. Now, I know a little bit about gunners, too, beyond just the B-52. In a former life, I was an Army helicopter pilot. Did the Vietnam thing, and we had gunners. We had door gunners. So let me tell you a quick story about gunners and about people who think like gunners. So it is, it's early March 1971. There's an operation going on called Lamsom 719. It's the largest air mobile operation in the history of the United States Air Force. 600 helicopters. You couldn't swing a dead cat without hitting a helicopter pilot. I mean, it was just incredible, every place. And we're going into Laos. We're going to cut the Ho Chi Minh Trail into a place called Chipon, Laos. I remember the first night, the night before we started. I remember the first day. I remember so much about it, I'm sure the same way people remember Normandy. I remember that. That was my Normandy. So it's around the first part of March, and we've been at this for about almost a month. We're flying out of a place called Khe Sanh. Many of you have heard of Khe Sanh, the Marine siege in '68. So we're flying out of Khe Sanh, and the battalion commander comes out. We're all huddled up around Khe Sanh, and he's going to give us this inspirational briefing. You know, it's going to fire us all up, you know, and we're going to run out to our helicopters and jump on and fly and, you know, just scream Yahoo all the way. And he tells us, he says, there are no more secure LZs in Laos. You can expect to take heavy fire on every approach. And I'm thinking, boy, I'm sure glad I got up to meet this guy, you know, I mean, this is real inspirational, you know, I mean, this guy, we need to have Billy Graham talking to us, you know, instead of this guy, I mean, what in the heck? So it was, it was a little uneasy that first, and it wasn't the first morning, we've been at this for over a month, but as we walked out the helicopters, you know, we felt a little queasy about it. So they told us we were going to get an extra gunner. An extra gunner. If things go bad, what do? They give you more gunners, okay? Isn't that true? If we'd put gunners all over that airplane, we could have had them. So he gave us an extra gunner. So normally the pilot and co-pilot, they try to fly together a lot, and the crew chief sticks with that's his helicopter, he signed for it. And then he has a gunner, crew chief kind of a guy that work together, and then the extra gunner is usually somebody out of the gunner pool. So as we're walking out, I said, we're going to get a no gunner today. Has anybody seen him? I said, no one's seen him. So pretty soon we see this guy coming towards us, and he's got his M60 and a couple of ammo belts wrapped around him. I think this was more of a Rambo picture than anything else, you know. And he's got his chicken plate and his helmet and everything. We call these things chicken plates. Because if you wore one, you were chicken. I think I was like a Rhode Island Red because I wore my chicken plate all the time. So we get out to the helicopter, and I walked over to meet the new gunner, and I said, and here's the number one thing. The first question you ask anybody when you meet them in Vietnam is not, what's your name? It's, where are you from? Where are you from? That's the connection to the world, is where are you from? The kid looked like Opie Taylor, a little taller. He's from Newton, Kansas, right up the road. Newton, never been there. So everybody has nicknames. So he said, your nickname is Fig. And he said, hey, I like that, Fig from Newton, got it. So I said, Fig, how long, tell us a little bit about yourself. And he said, well, I was an M60 gunner in an infantry division, and they went home, but I didn't have enough in-country points, so I have to stay a little longer. I said, well, that's quite a deal. Bet you're happy about that. He said, oh, yeah, I was just elated. I don't know about Newton, but maybe he just didn't want to go back to Newton. I don't know, but I'm assuming he wanted to go back to Newton. So I said, are you any good with that gun? He said, I am very good with this gun. I said, that's great. You've probably heard, we need your gun real bad today. Yes, sir. And I said, how long have you been flying now? And he says, this is my first day. And I said, well, that's amazing. It's my first day too. You know, I didn't really say that because I'm afraid he'd run off. So it was his first day. So we're out the helicopter, and when you first get the helicopter, everybody throws their stuff on the helicopter. You know, we had myself and my co-pilot, both warrant officers. Warrant officers are very heavily armed people. I think I had a Colt 45 automatic, a 1911. I had a Browning 9mm automatic. I had an M2 machine gun. We had 3 M60s. We had half a dozen M16. I think we had a bazooka on there. I think we'd have carried a small nuclear weapon if we could have got it on the airplane, but we were very heavily armed. So we're throwing all our weapons on there, and we kind of get together and kind of talk about, you did this same thing. You get together before you get on the airplane, right? And you kind of stand around outside under the wings, you know. Had that last cigarette. And I look around, and I said, well, where's Fig? Fig's not with us. And somebody pointed up towards the tail of the airplane, so I looked back there, and there's Fig. He's hanging on to the tail boom, and Fig is puking. Now, I don't know if you know me saying about young people from Kansas. They learn to puke at a very early age, apparently, because, I mean, puke, he was good at it. I mean, he's calling up names of automobiles, like I heard Buick several times, so. And these were his green eggs and ham that he just had out of a can walking out there. But he's quite ill. We knew why. So Fig walks back up and reaches in, gets his canteen, takes a big swig of water and spits it on the ground. And then he looks at me and he says, aren't we going? Aren't we going? Here's a kid that was so scared he was puking, and now he looks at me and he says, aren't we going? That's the incredible nature of young people who go to war. Incredible nature. That is a true essence of courage. Courage is not about being fearless. It's about being so scared you're sick, and then realizing you have got to overcome it and get on the airplane. You did it time and time and time again. Get on the airplane and go. Why? Well, patriotism, yeah. We all took that oath. Swear I'll support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America, all enemies, foreign and domestic. Remember that? I don't think anyone on our airplane, probably never one on your airplane, could really said, I've read the Constitution front to back. I know exactly what it's about. I know exactly why I'm here. It probably wouldn't register with them. You know why they were there? On his bomber, there were 9 other guys, right? That's why. There are 9 other guys. I have the most important gun on this bomber, the belly ball turret. I am here because of these 9 other guys. Band of brothers, you probably heard that term. Band of brothers. Family. Brothers are part of a family. This is a family. So that's why these incredible young men and now young women get on airplanes get in foxholes, go to war, because there's someone out there next to them that they're counting on them to do their job, counting on them to get them home alive. We'll do this together. And even after you got shot down, there were people in the prison camp that said, we're going to get out of here together, right? Okay. So yeah, you take that oath, you swear you're going to do, and this thing about the Constitution, foreign and domestic enemies, you're going to do it. Here's what's important about that oath. The end of that oath is what's important. At the end of that oath, there's a 4-word prayer. It says, so help me God. So help me God. To me, that's the best part of the oath. Do you think God was there helping this young man to get home? Absolutely. God's hand was on getting him home and getting him home in time to start the wheat harvest that day. You know, God said, hey, we got to have this wheat. I got to get you home, buddy. Family's counting on you. So that is the wonderful part of that oath is, so help me God, that sticks with us. You know, I'm asking God not to save my life, but to give me the wisdom and the strength and the courage to overcome everything that's going to be in my way until I can get home to Enid and get back on the combine or the tractor or whatever. So I've got an opportunity to bring a letter here from the governor I want to read. You know, he's my boss, so every time he says read a letter, I do it. I said twice. So I told the governor about this, and boy, he was really excited about it, and he said, you know, do I need to come? And I said, I'll take care of it. He'd be up here with a microphone. I can't do that. I mean, I got to have this microphone. Because remember, this is one of the 3 things I love. Okay. So, dear R.D. Lawrence, on behalf of the people of Oklahoma and its veterans, I thank you and I congratulate you on your induction in the Woodwing Airport Wall of Fame. And I guess it's more than that. It's the French Foreign Legion or something like that. You're going to Morocco tomorrow or something. I don't know what it is, but I think that's indeed more honor. I have to tell the governor about that. Men like you who embody sacrifice, honor, and bravery are rare and valued. Men like you have defended our country with selfless courage and integrity. Courage and integrity. The state of Oklahoma thanks you for your service, and in honoring you here today, honor those who fought alongside you. We would like to recognize you today as one of Army Air Corps' greatest patriots, and in doing so, honor your fellow airmen, fallen heroes who didn't make it home. Thank you for your remarkable service. Sincerely, J. Kevin Stitt, Governor, State of Oklahoma. Thank you, sir. Thank you for giving me a chance to do it. God bless you. God bless Enid. God bless America. Thank you.
For recognition of our honoree, we call on Colonel Timothy Danielson, Commander, Vance Air Force Base.
All right, General, thank you so much for your kind words. I really appreciate that. And he really talked about a few things that really had me thinking back in my chair. First is I just want to thank everyone for being here today and really thank everyone for putting this on. So Elaine, thanks to you and your team. As always, the General talked about the symbiotic relationship between the town of Enid and Vance, and that is really extremely true. After you've been in a lot of military bases across the Air Force in your military career, you really realize that the relationship between the town of Enid and the folks at Vance is unlike really anywhere else we've been in the United States. And both parties either work there. I've gone to maintenance areas where I've had folks who worked there for 50 years from the town of Enid and all over the base, whether they're driving buses, whether they're supporting our airmen, getting out to the flight line, or whatever it is. The reason that the base is so successful is really because of all the support that the town gives to the base. So very, very appreciative. And then the second point I want to follow up with the General is really talking about the character of really aircrew members and gunners in this instance, and really talking about URD in particular, and And so I'm going to take a little bit to give the story of why we're going to be here today and what this award means, and really for the French Legion of Honor recipient, and that's going to be you today, RD. And so I'm going to read really what he's did during the war, which is it's absolutely fantastic and fabulous. So R.D. Lawrence of Waukeeta, Oklahoma, received his draft notice on Christmas Day of 1942. He then reported to Fort Sill the following day, where he volunteered for the Army Air Forces and was eventually selected to be a turret gunner at Las Vegas Army Airfield, which is now known as Nellis Air Force Base. He learned to operate the twin 50 caliber machine guns and the cramp ball turret on top of bomber aircraft. And so I don't know if y'all have been in this cramp turret, but it's hard to fit in there. And so he did this on a routine basis, supporting the folks that he flew with on a regular basis. In 1943, Lawrence's 463rd Bombardment Group was deployed to Chalonnais Airfield in Italy. In March of 1944, they flew their first mission, a bombing run against an airfield in Yugoslavia. In May of 1944, Lawrence found himself embroiled in a series of bombing runs on oil refineries in Ploiești, Romania. During these runs, Lawrence's aircraft took heavy damage from flak and Luftwaffe machine guns, but still returned from each mission with all of its crew alive and intact. And if you think about the stats and the history of the war back then, you didn't know if you were coming back. Everyone went forward. They were supporting their band of brothers, like the general talked about. They went forward. They didn't know if they'd return, but on this day, they all did, thankfully. While he and the rest of the crew eventually left the deployment zone, they went on R&R leave. That actual aircraft was shot down, and a different crew was lost. Weeks later, in a new aircraft, Lawrence and his crew were on what would be their final mission, a bombing run on a railroad marshalling yard in Budapest. After they had dropped their entire payload of bombs, their aircraft was shot down on this day. But Lawrence and his crew were able to parachute to relative safety. They were captured by Hungarian soldiers as soon as their feet touched the ground. A week later, they were at Stalag Luft 4 prisoner of war camp in Poland. As the Russian army began to advance into Poland in February of 1945, their German captors forced Lawrence and 9,500 other POWs to march more than 500 miles to Germany. On May 2nd, 1945, they were liberated by the British soldiers. After moving from one base to another, Lawrence caught a ship bound for Boston in early June of that year. From there, he took a bus to Enid. He made it home to Waukeeta in time to help the annual wheat harvest, like the general discussed. During the harvest, he rekindled a romance with his wife of 66 years, Joanne. Only later did he find out that every man in his 10-man crew survived and made it home. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a distinct honor and privilege to introduce French Legion of Honor recipient, R.D. Lawrence.
The presentation of the award we call on Grant Moak, Honorary French Consulate.
It's an honor to be here today as the Honorary Consul of France for the state of Oklahoma to present this award to Mr. Lawrence. Give you a little background. Oh, and by the way, no, after today, you are not going to be in the French Foreign Legion. You don't have to worry about that. But the Legion of Honor was created in 1802 by Napoleon Bonaparte when he was the first consul of the French Republic. It replaced the Order of Chivalry, that is, the old aristocratic orders that had been abolished during the French Revolution. And in its place, they established an Order of Merit for those who merit the award, not just because of their birth. And the Legion of Honor has been in existence continually since 1802, and it remains France's most prestigious award. We're here today to honor Mr. Lawrence. A grateful nation, France, is showing its appreciation. Originally, the Legion of Honor was only awarded to members of the French military. After World War I, it was opened up to civilians who made significant contributions to French society, French culture, in industry, the arts, and in science. And a few years ago, France opened up the Legion of Honor to Allied soldiers from World War II whose heroism helped liberate France during some of its darkest days. And that's why we're here to honor you today, Mr. Lawrence, for your heroic contributions in the liberation of France. Oklahoma and France, the U.S. and France, a friendship that goes back a long ways. If you go to the Oklahoma History Museum in Oklahoma City and you see their exhibit on commerce in Oklahoma, the very first commerce they record were French traders who came here and established trade with the native peoples of Oklahoma. This was once a part of Louisiana, La Louisiane. The U.S. and France have a friendship going back to the War of Independence. France was America's first ally in that war. France sent soldiers, it sent materiel, it sent resources, and the French Navy held the British Navy off and prevented them from resupplying and rearming during the final days of the war. Of course, a couple of hundred years later, America and Great Britain are allies, France is an ally, and when France and the UK faced an existential threat in World War II, the United States answered the call. You and your generation did something absolutely remarkable during that time. Your generation is often called the greatest generation, and I have to admit, I believe that. I concede that. That is how I view you. When you think about what you did, you lived through a depression, then you fought a world war in two hemispheres. And after the war, you did something, I think, pretty remarkable. Instead of punishing your enemies and keeping them under your heel, you turned enemies into friends, enemies into allies. You helped them rebuild. You helped them build democratic societies who shared our values. You established international coalitions and alliances that have kept the world at peace and protected us from another world war for the last 75 years. All of us in the generations that follow you and your generation owe you a debt of gratitude we can never repay. And today, France, a grateful nation, shows its gratitude for your heroic contributions to the liberation of France in World War II. If you would please stand. Mr. Lawrence you can remain seated if you like, or if you'd like to stand. We're going to move to presentation of the medal. Would you like to? This part of the ceremony is always conducted in French. So I'll come to you. That's all right. You can stay there with it. I'll come to you.
I know you're very good.
Okay. All right. Well, good. Well, I will try to project. Okay. Richard Lawrence. Au nom du Président de la République, nous vous remettons les insignes de chevalier de la Légion d'honneur. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Richard Lawrence, Chevalier, not in the French National Order of the Legion of Honor.
We now have some congratulatory letters from the Representative Senator James Inhofe. We have Ryan Spruill.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. It's truly an honor to be here with you all and to celebrate Mr. Lawrence. And on behalf of U.S. Senator Jim Inhofe, I'm here to present a letter and just wanted to say thank you for the chance to be here. I know the Senator would have liked to have been here, but wasn't able to, but sure wanted to make sure that you knew he was thinking of you and appreciated your service. And I'd have to say on behalf of myself, it's really an honor. I'm a fellow ag producer from west of here, and it made me think about after hearing your story, and I think it was mentioned a few times, after your service and you were shot down and you're taken prisoner, and you come back and got right back to work in the wheat fields, and made me think of my own grandfather. He served in World War II, and when he got back, he got home just in time to milk the cows. So I appreciate that. I think that's a true testament to your generation, and like the gentleman said, definitely the greatest generation. So with that, let me just read real quick here this letter from Senator Inhofe. It says, "Dear Mr. Lawrence, on behalf of the United States Senate and the state of Oklahoma, I wish to congratulate you on your receipt of the French Legion of Honor. Your service and sacrifice to uphold liberty and equality exemplify the attributes befitting of France's highest honor. It is a testament to the courage and resolve of you and the other members of the 463rd Heavy Bombardment Group. Your 37 combat missions as a ball turret gunner in the Flying Fortress was integral in driving back the Axis forces. As a nation, we are indebted to you for your service and your sacrifice. You have truly made an impact on the world. I salute you and thank you for your service to this great nation. Sincerely, James M. Inhofe, United States Senator." So, thank you, Mr. Lawrence. So.
We have another congratulatory letter from the Office of Representative James Langford. Tanner.
Thank you. And congratulations again, Mr. Lawrence, and thank you, Elaine, for putting today's event on. We cannot thank you enough, Mr. Lawrence, for your perseverance, the life lessons, your positive outlook for our nation, and most of all, for winning the war that has shaped our nation and the world every day since. The values, the work ethic, and bold, unapologetic patriotism you showed remain the truest emblems of the American spirit. So on behalf of Senator Langford's office, congratulations again. This time I'd like to read a letter from the senator. "Dear Artie Lawrence, congratulations on receiving the French Legion of Honor Award. I wish I could be there with you in person to celebrate your award. I apologize that I cannot be there personally to honor your service to the United States of America. Mr. Lawrence, please allow me this opportunity to humbly thank you and your family on behalf of Oklahoma and the United States for your service to the U.S. Army Air Corps. Your service was absolutely necessary to maintain our peace and provide freedom for others around the world. Thank you for your great sacrifice and devotion to duty. Thank you for wearing the cloth of our nation. I pray for your joy and happiness as your family and friends honor your service. In God we trust, James Langford."
We also have a legislative proclamation from Roland Peterson, Senate District 20.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the opportunity to be here this afternoon and celebrate with my neighbor just to the east of me. Grew up right in the adjoining county. He represents my district, District 19, and it's an honor to be here today. You know, one of the things that as I've gotten older is to realize how young these soldiers that defend our country are. And, you know, you kind of appreciate that whenever you get older. But I think the general explained a little bit the reasoning for that is because the fear that you have throughout life is kind of somewhat limited at that point in time in your life. But anyway, thank you for your service, and it is an honor for me to present to you this legislative proclamation from the representatives of the state of Oklahoma and the state Senate. And it says that whereas R.D. Lawrence is a recipient of the French Legion of Honor Award, which was created to reward eminent military and civil merits in the service to France, and is the highest distinction that can be conferred on a French citizen as well as a foreigner. And whereas R.D. Lawrence served in the 463rd Bomb Group as a ball and turret gunner in the B-17 Flying Fortress in the United States Army Air Corps from 1942 to 1945, he was shot down on his 37th mission over Europe and was taken as a prisoner of war to Stalag Luft 4. And whereas Americans devoted to liberty and this country courageously answered the nation's call to arms, summarized by President Franklin D. Roosevelt with the words, "You bear with you the hope, the confidence, the gratitude, and the prayers of your family, your fellow citizens, and your presidents." And whereas more than 400,000 Americans made their supreme sacrifice in laying down their lives so others could live free, and every man, woman, and child in this great nation owes a debt of gratitude to those who served their country so selfishly in a war that reshaped the world. And whereas on January the 24th, 2021, R.D. Lawrence will be honored with the Chevalier of Legion honor with the Republic of France, and whereas it is fitting and proper that the citizens of Oklahoma to commend Mr. R.D. Lawrence for his bravery in the liberation of France and for accepting this award for all of our veterans, both past and present, who have honorably served our nation with dignity and fortitude during this era of war. Now, therefore, pursuant to the motion of Senator Roland Peterson and Representative John Pfeiffer, the state of Oklahoma extends to veteran R.D. Lawrence sincere commendation and directs that this citation be presented. Again, thank you for attending this afternoon, and thank you for your service to our country. And this is a real honor for all of us to witness this in our own community here. So thank you, and I think there's some refreshments to follow.